Welcome to our It's Electra series.
In this series, we're going to share with you gear based on and inspired by the Electra distortion circuit.
Join us on this journey where we get the most tone out of the least circuit. Today we're looking at the MPC-11. Yes, we've made it that far.
Right.
And today is the Frog Nose, and the cartridge is already in here in the MPC guitar.
And I'm not sure when you'll be watching this, but can you figure out what time of year we were recording it?
Not the most subtle Easter egg.
Take a guess. Right, so this is a small amp. It's like a small transistor amp. So what does that mean? It could drive a speaker cabinet. It could drive a headphone. And this is how stupid I am, because I read that this was to drive headphones. So when I got the module, I started looking at it. Being that it's not 1976 when this came out, I'm looking at it to see where the small jack to plug my...
Where the 1/8 jack.
Right, to plug my headphones in. And I'm like, this thing is a solid block of epoxy. There's no...
Should I make him feel better and think that when I first read the instructions, I thought the same thing?
Okay, because I was like, there's nowhere to plug...
Hashtag true confessions.
So the idea was in the 70s, and I think a lot of headphones would have had the 8
Oh, sure,
jack.
absolutely.
Right. Plug your headphones right into the guitar. You can play a guitar in headphones. Take out of the guitar into a speaker cabinet. You can play a speaker cabinet. We'll show you that here in a minute. And yeah, I think that's it. But the nice thing about it being a small kind of amp is if you run it into your amp, then it becomes almost like a little preamp.
Right.
And so Tom, who sent us these modules, said that he actually likes this better than the MPC-11 power overdriver.
Okay.
Right, because he thought it does a better job at like driving the preamp of the amp. So with that, we're right into it. Yeah.
So I'm going to have the rotary switch on one, which is both pickups, into the Tyler JT22 at the moment. The cartridge is off. We said these pickups are a little darker. They kind of push the Tyler a little bit, so I'm gonna start with it on 10. So here we go. For something I think would be more practical, let me turn it back off. I would go to just the bridge pickup, the hot pickup, bright with more clarity, right? So. I like that, and I think I said before you told me what you just said on camera, I said I think this is one of my favorites for that reason. If I were to use it, I tend to want to use it that way. So one thing I noticed about this particular module, this cartridge, is the relationship to the volume knob. There's other effects that we put in here, say a phaser, you turn the volume down, the guitar just gets quieter.
The phase doesn't change.
Right, it doesn't change the phase, and why would you do that? But I did notice it's different with this in a practical sense to how you can use it.
So it cleans up.
Yes.
So one of the things that we've talked a lot about is this idea of the volume knob and these modules being pre-volume knob, which is a really interesting thing. And just I think quick example, put your drive pedal, if you want to see what we're talking about at home, put your drive pedal on the floor, put your volume pedal in front of the drive pedal. It's just like having your guitar running into it. When you roll it back, you're sending less signal into your drive pedal. It should clean up. If you put your volume pedal after it, when you roll it back, you're still getting the full amount of drive. You're just going to get the same amount of drive, smaller volume.
Right.
And so that's huge. And on here, I think what's happening is all this is acting like a preamp, so it's just goosing the front of the amp. And when you pull the volume back, you're still reducing how much signal you're sending to the front of the amp. You're not hitting it as hard then. And so you can actually use that the way.
And I feel like it cleans up before it totally disappears. The other ones, they sort of just disappear. So, and I was saying that I like it on the bridge. I like the amount of drive it gets. I like the top end sparkle, the tightness that it gives. But I'm like, well, okay, so if I like that and I want it on all the time, like this. What if you get to a verse or somewhere where you're going to play with more dynamics, you can turn it down. Just gives you some room to move. And I'm not a volume knob guy, but here I am thinking about, I like that tone. I like it's big, it's open, but I don't want it all the time. And because when we flip that pickup off, the effect off, I don't really like the actual sound of the pickup as much. It's all personal opinions. You put air quotes around this whole part. Because we usually demonstrate in the box, which we're about to, of how the it's affected there because it's after the guitar knob.
Well, it'll be interesting now to put it in there and see.
Right.
So, should we...
Yeah, there was your segue.
Yeah, should we move to the box?
Your accidental segue.
And this is the box Steve Hignan made for us. There's their whole video on how it works. We're not going to get into that too much here, other than to take the... Man, I can never get over how much these weigh, the ones that are full epoxy. So this one's full epoxy. Let me put it under the camera for a second. It literally, solid block of epoxy. So this was a really early module. And it's funny because you said one of your favorites so far, but I've read that people are just like, no, the frog nose, don't even bother. Right? Don't even bother with the frog nose. Let me drop it in here. And I just messed up everything on the camera, but all right, so
you'll have to flip the Morley.
So we've been doing like
we usually let him go with the humbuckers because he's going to play with the volume knob, which I never do. And in this episode, I play with the volume knob.
Sorry.
I
don't remember. It's been a while since we've done this. I don't remember what
I think you would just play without, then we turn it on.
Not nearly as much in the box with this guitar. It doesn't push amp nearly as much as it did in that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, you kicked it in, you're like, whoa, okay, hello.
Right.
Here, I didn't get that feeling at all. Let's see what it does with the Strat. It makes the rhythm sound, the chords sound great, but it's not like I don't think you're using it as a dry pedal.
Probably not use it, or definitely not as a lead. You might get just that edge of break up, a little bit of, tiny bit of hair.
Mm-hmm. Push the amps a little bit, but I think it pushed the amp better with the Electra than it did.
Which I think I need to switch back to the Electra. And
so we're gonna
Maybe we should have done this a little differently.
Right, pull the epoxy block out because there's one more little experiment that we want to do. I'm going to hand Pat back the frog nose.
Yeah.
Two?
I think one was the quiet one, right?
Yeah.
There's some patina, patina in the form of static in position number 2. So, in the effort to give off the illusion of professionalism.
Somebody in one of the videos said something about cleaning the pods, but
Look, why would we do that?
I mean,
you ever seen someone has like a copper gutter or something and they clean it?
It's one of those things though. Like I'm worried that if we clean it, then it won't work at all.
Right.
Like
it might be the thing that's holding the whole thing together.
Right. I'm kind of worried.
This is from like 1978.
So we've taken a cable, run it from the guitar into the PV 112 cabinet. We didn't mic the cabinet. We're not going to mic the cabinet, so we're going to blow you out. We're going to blow out the vocal mics and just run it through the vocal mics.
And what I'm going to show you is without the cartridge engaged. So this is just the guitar, and you know what you get? Nothing. So now I'm going to turn the cartridge on, and it's on 10, and this is what you get.
That was louder before. Guess not.
Bedroom volume practicing.
Yes. Yes.
But it would be interesting, and we can't really demo it, but if you put a set of headphones in the jack here, not in the cartridge, and pair this with some sound, with maybe one of the other effects, with the phaser or something else, you could, maybe do a little songwriting in 1978 and not wake up your parents.
Right. It kind of reminds me of the Smoky amps.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that were like in the cigarette boxes
Right.
with the little blue plastic cases. Because you could run those out to a speaker cabinet, but they would have been considerably louder, I think.
They would, yeah.
So anyway, that's it. That's the frog nose amp. Anything else to add? Interesting. I mean, I still think from 1976, when this guitar came out, the line of modules, 12 modules, I think it's really interesting.
Of what they decided to try to tackle. Maybe because they could, or, it was easier.
Right. It's a little ahead of their time, I think.
Yeah, I'd have to go, look up if the Sony Walkman wasn't around at that point. I don't
Right.
think. So the idea of being able to amplify.
I mean, what was around that had modules like that? Atari wouldn't have been out in 76. But, what was around that they were thinking, we could plug.
We should have asked Keith Williams to help us out with this one. He could have given us the history of Atari, the short version.
Right. So anyway, frog nose amp. That's number 11 of the 12. At this point, they should have seen the other 10, maybe minus one that we don't have our hands on at the time of recording this, but
Right.
you never know what happens between now and then.
In
So,
the meantime, Merry Christmas.
So, hey, thanks for watching with that.
I'm PJ on behalf of the Beard, reminding you, no matter what you hear, you never have too much gear. Even if this is all you hear. Uh-oh. I broke it. I think this is how Slash wrote every rose, actually.